There's a lot of chatter out there that PayPal is the next Meta in regards to Meta hitting that $88 low on November 4th, 2022, and now hitting all-time highs of $530, $540. Is that the case? Well, guys, I'm not here to say whether it's going to happen or not, but I'm just going to show you what I think of PayPal. I own PayPal. That doesn't mean you should buy the company. You should never buy a company merely because somebody on the internet has it. What I want you to learn is a process of fundamental analysis to understand a company, and then more importantly, the emotions of being able to stick with it. Mo, you do not own PayPal. I do. Let's take a look at PayPal here. Why don't you talk a little bit about why you don't own PayPal?
I don't actually have a very good reason. I do
Sure
have it
you
on
do.
my watch list to get below $50. It's one of those companies where I don't necessarily think it's a moat. Now, you don't have to own a moat business, but I do think that PayPal has a lot of competition out there, and I kind of want to see where the chips fall before I get into this company. And frankly, when we look at their income, their revenue, I want to see, it did skyrocket. I mean, it basically doubled since like 2019. So I want to see where that stabilizes. It seems like it's stabilizing here before I get into it. But there's no saying that I won't own this at some point.
So it's interesting you say, Mo, because I actually agree with you that it's not a moat. I do think that people like it a lot. And I think I've said moat-ish in the past. I think it's more of a moat than you give it credit for. But I hate the overused term of moat. Everybody uses it all the time. Like, oh, listen, my dog Billy is a moat. I'm like, what are you talking about? Your dog's an idiot. Like, and I love dogs. But here's one thing. Teddy is a moat. Here's one thing I don't like about PayPal that I think is a little concerning. This is the chart of their active accounts in millions of accounts. Grow, flatline, declining. Number of accounts. And you see this dark blue line is the growth rate. It fell below 0.
Yeah.
So I don't like that.
I wonder if that ties to, now it's different, like Apple Pay and PayPal are not the same because Apple Pay doesn't give you really the protection that PayPal gives you. For example, Paul, I bought a new coffee maker on eBay this morning and I use PayPal. So It's just an additional layer of protection. I wonder if people are looking at it saying Amazon Pay and Apple Pay, they're kind of going to that place without understanding that it's not the same as PayPal.
Yeah, I think PayPal is much more protection of a user. I think Apple Pay and Amazon are putting users together and saying, hey, use our facility to get there. Now, I'm sure, guys, there are other ways in which you can use Apple Pay and Amazon Pay. I don't deny that. But have you ever tried to deal with Amazon customer service?
I have, not on that side, not on the payment side.
Yeah, it's tough. With PayPal, it's not so much. But
it's easy.
Even though, yes, correct, it's much easier and they're very pro user. Even though there's decline here, let's look at some other stats here. I want to show you number of transactions PayPal has actually been involved with. This is a growing number. Look at this, Mo.
Wow.
So even though user growth is down, number of actual transactions is up and growing.
And that's the thing. If user growth is down, but transactions are getting higher, the people that love PayPal are going to keep perpetuating this company. So you don't necessarily need the user growth if the transactions are still increasing. And that looks like a substantial increase, what you just showed.
That is a substantial. I mean, look at this. They've actually had an increase in the last few quarters from about 10% to 12% year over year user growth. And Mo, to your point, we want to get good quality users. If there's a decline of crappy users, we're fine with that. Now, I'd still rather see an increased number of users because if you get increasing users, you're more likely to get good quality users down the road, et cetera. So I'm not trying to diminish that at all. But this was a nice stat that I see that I go, okay, maybe there's more to the numbers. Another one, Mo. This is the total transactions, total value of transactions. Look at this. Boom.
Wow.
$4 trillion worth right here.
Yeah.
Year over year growth, again, increasing again and getting closer to 20%. Year over year growth at this. So as the world gets bigger and bigger, as economies get bigger and bigger, as things cost more, it's going to drive those. But I would be more concerned if this number, the number of total transactions, was declining.
Absolutely.
That would, I'd be like, oh man, transactions declining and users declining, but revenue, but total values are going up. Okay, but I like the fact that number of transactions is up, which means less users are doing more transactions. So like you said, are they stickier users? Are they users that are using the company more and more? Yep. And that's kind of where I look at it going, listen, you're never going to find an investment that's perfect. In fact, if you do, I'd be very worried. You have to sit there and figure out and I think for PayPal, The biggest issue I have is the decline in users. But if I can still see this growing, the number of transactions and the total values consistently growing well, I'm fine with that. Yeah. You want to get rid of lesser users. Remember, they own Venmo. And Venmo's used like crazy. Actually, ironically, I'm having my first issue with Venmo right now. I don't know why, but I'm having an issue and I'm dealing with customer service about that.
Oh, yes. You told me over the weekend. That's right.
I did tell you over the weekend. Yeah. I love Venmo more than, literally when somebody says, hey, Paul, do you have Zelle? I'm like, Zelle, do you have Venmo? And most of the time they go, yeah, I have Venmo. I go, let's use Venmo then.
So much
Zelle, I got to log into my bank account. Then I got to go to the Zelle part. Then I'm just like, come on, I put your number. As opposed to just looking at it, it's QR code done. It's so wonderful for Venmo. And they own Venmo, and I love that. Now,
I agree with you.
Let's look at some of the fundamentals of Pypl. Mo, look at this all-time high, $310 back in July of 2021. July 26th. Incredible. And now it's sitting at $66.43 and a 52-week low of $50. This is why everybody thinks it might be the next Meta. Now remember, guys, especially with a company like PayPal, this had a $300+ price tag, got as low as $50. If you own it at $300, I ask you a question. Why did you own it at $300? I'm not saying you're right or wrong, but when you buy a company, more times than not, the company's going to go down in price. You're going to buy based on fundamentals. That's what we're trying to teach here. But the most important thing I'm trying to teach is the emotional side. When you buy based on fundamentals, you're going to hold and make a ton of money based on fundamentals, but most importantly, having the emotional ability to watch the stock go down, but still focus on fundamentals and still hold on to it. Everybody watching this video, everybody in the history of the world has made emotional decisions based on money. Warren Buffett has, I have, you have, we've all done it. And I ask one question: how often does it work out for you? Probably not very often, and that's okay. Once I realized that about investing, it was like a weight lifted off of me. It's like, okay, I need to focus on the fundamentals driving my emotions. How can I keep my emotions in check? Because investing is a lonely road. You're out there, you're by yourself, you're sitting there, you're watching a stock go down. What do? Do you sell it? Do you cut your losses? But wait a second, other companies have skyrocketed after falling 20 or 30%. You've got to be able to handle those emotions. And that is why I created the software and the community. The software was made to make the right fundamental decisions. I use it every single day. Mo uses it every single day. But we use the community for the emotional aspect. How do we stay there? How do we sit there and feel comfortable about the company that even when the market's going against us, we can say, but the fundamentals are getting better. I'm okay with this. It's a temporary problem. Eventually the market will get it right. That's hard to do. But that's why we're here. That's why there's thousands of people in here. So if you want to make less emotional decisions and probably increase your returns, click the link below, $7 for 7 days. I assure you, it'll change the way in which you handle your money. So go check it out. Yeah. Now, there's been a lot more. If we did a video recently where we talked about the top 10 transactions by institutional owners, PayPal was one of them. One of the most bought stocks, PayPal and Alibaba in the top 10 were in there. And I was like, oh, interesting.
That is interesting.
Are they starting to build some positions in there? Well, maybe there's a reason for that. I mean, I look at this. This is what I love, Mo. Free cash flow, $4.22 billion last year. Net income, $4.25. 5-year free cash flow, 4.6. 5-year average net income, 3.5. So those numbers are very consistent and pretty, and I love that. Okay.
Now, one metric I was looking at before we started this video, I wanted to ask you about market cap to enterprise value. That's a large discrepancy. What's your take there? Yeah,
I think so. You have to look at this, and it's probably a lot of money they hold in their accounts that are owed to other people, right? So the way we do enterprise value includes all the debt of the company. So, for example, if you put money in PayPal's holdings in their bank account, they owe you that money back. It's like a bank, right? They owe you that money back. Now, I have to dig deeper into that to sit there and see exactly, but that doesn't worry me as much. They're a facilitator. Now, let's look at their financials here more specifically, and I'll get into that, Mo. But like you said, 2018, they did $15 billion in revenue. 2023, $30 billion in revenue. So I think you said 2018 or 19. I don't remember what you said, but it has doubled.
2019. I meant 18.
But it has doubled since 18. Now, here's another thing. Operating income. This is the fundamental of the business before interest, how does a business doing itself? 2018, $2.5 billion. Last year, $5 billion. So double revenue, double operating income. Look at this. Now, interest rates have started to go up, and look at their interest expense is actually a profit here. was $3 million back in 2016. It was $347 million here. Okay. So there's a lot of positives going on here that I really like a lot. Is it the next Meta? I don't know. Is there a lack of user growth? Is it declining? Yes. But the two other major metrics, number of transactions and the total dollar amount, is increasing. And I like that a lot. So what are analysts saying here, Mo?
Let's see.
Pull it up, baby.
December 2024, estimated to do $5.60 earnings per share. And at the end of 2028, $10.68.
Yes. So right now, based on 2024, it's selling for 12x 2024 profit. And it's selling for 6.5x or 6x 2028 profit. Again, who knows that's going to happen or not? They are analysts. They are going out in the future. It's only 3 analysts here versus 46 this year. But let's look at revenue, Mo. Look at this revenue growth. 8, 8, 8, 13. Yeah,
for that size.
Big time growth. So I look at this saying, okay, I'm getting around that whole lack of user growth thing. Again, if you don't like the lack of user growth, you really need to caution yourself. But I think just like name me one company that has the perfect story. Nobody does.
You can't.
You cannot.
Yeah.
I like the story here so far. Now, let's look at our stock analyzer tool, because this is where we can sit there and go and say, okay, what do we put in? When was the last time I did PayPal? March 6th. So I look at this saying, okay, if this is a company that's going to be around for a long time, I'm interested in buying companies that I can see for a long time. And as the international markets grow, I like the idea of PayPal having that reputation of being good for the consumer and a safe place for doing a transaction.
Especially internationally.
Especially internationally, right? Yeah. That's very important. And I think I look at this going, as the U.S. starts to do more internationally, we're going to want, it's funny, people say, well, look at Bitcoin. You can sit there. Yeah, but the second the money leaves, what do you do if you've been scammed?
100%. And
you're done.
Just to your Bitcoin point, my father, I've told the story on the channel before, but he forgot his password. There's no getting into your account. So if you can't get into your account, think of what the transaction process is down the road if you have customer service issues.
Yep. And by the way, guys, PayPal has their own Bitcoin crypto wallets in there. So you can still do that with PayPal and crypto. So Mo, I did 3, 5, and 7% revenue growth, which is really, really low. I'm actually going to change this now to 4, 7, and 10% revenue growth.
Okay.
Profit margin, I did 12.5, 15.5, and 18.5, which is 15.5 is still higher than the last 10 years, but it's trending up, and they have a high gross margin of like 50%, so I like that. Free cash flow has always been higher, except for the last year. So I'm looking at it going 16, 20, and 24.
I like
now,
that.
For PE and price of free cash flow, Mo, I did 13, 16, and 19. Only because there's so much negativity in the company, I had no reason to put that in there.
I actually agree with those numbers right there. Yeah.
See, I think to myself, I should be putting 15, 18, and 21 because this is not a normal company. This is not a company that should be selling for the market average, I don't think. So I think 15, 18, and 21 is reasonable, but I'm still going to keep it at 13, 16, and 19.
Yep.
And again, guys, desired return. This is where you put your margin of safety. The market's going to do 9 or 10%. So if you want 9%, that's essentially saying this is what it's worth based on the market averages. So I put 9% in here, but you need to make sure that you do this on your own with your own numbers. So guys, again, before I hit the analyze button, if you're interested in the software and the community, click the link below, $7 for 7 days. Okay, look at this, Mo. I got a low price of 50 to 70, high price of 150 to 200, a middle price of 90 to 120. If you bought at today's price and the middle assumptions occur, 17.5% of your money. Guys, if you want to see a video on the other 12 companies I own, watch this next video. Thank you for your time.